for Preventing Violent Extremism at the Presidency of the Council of Ministers in Lebanon. Today, I will give you some insights around sustainable community ownership and its impact on deradicalization, on the success of deradicalization and reintegration efforts. Sustainable community ownership is essential for the success of deradicalization and reintegration efforts. Community ownership refers to the active and meaningful involvement of communities in the design, implementation, and monitoring of deradicalization and reintegration programs. It ensures that communities are invested in the success of these programs and that they have a stake in preventing future radicalization and violence. Some ways to promote sustainable community ownership within deradicalization and reintegration processes are engaging communities in program design, which will ensure that the programs are responsive to the specific needs of the community and are culturally appropriate. Collaborating with community leaders can help build trust in the process and establish partnership. As well, involving families in the process can provide important support to individuals who are undergoing the reintegration process. Providing trainings and education to community members on the risks of radicalization are important in the process of prevention. It is very important to note that any attempt to monitor and evaluate the impact of deradicalization and reintegration programs will require an ongoing engagement of the communities and regular assessment of programs' outcomes. For example, the Lebanese PVE program is built on the concept of organizational coordination, the role of civil society vis-à-vis the government. From the first moment, we understood that building resilience requires a context-specific interventions. However, international knowledge sharing is a prerequisite for the progress and efficiency. After all, we all know that there's no value in reinventing the wheel. We kept a participatory approach in all our interventions. That's why a lot of political capital is spent on bringing different actors to the table and capturing the need and concerns of all stakeholders. In the big picture, the work was divided into two phases. The first phase was the governmental coordination, which produced the strategy document, and the second phase is the national consultation on the strategy action plan. The strategy was built to be nationally owned, governmental, community-based, in collaboration and coordination with all stakeholders, taking into consideration the international standards. The coordination process had the same importance as the product itself, since the process is essential in developing the necessary institutional infrastructure for preparing the government for the implementation phase and raising awareness about characteristics and concepts of the strategy. The PVE unit led a consultation process with all 29 ministries, representing all political fractions in Lebanon, in a whole-of-government approach. Several ministerial meetings took place until the strategy was endorsed on 27 March 2018. The strategy went from a whole-of-government approach into a whole-of-society approach. The development of the National Action Plan required substantial stakeholders' management efforts, including mapping, coordination, and communication. The stakeholders' mapping included the clarification of their roles and the nature of their potential contribution in the National Action Plan, development and implementation process. Continuous coordination and consultation with concerned stakeholders were necessary to cement the national buy-in, interest in the process, and the sense of ownership. The National Action Plan development process in 2019 involved 9 national workshops around the 9 pillars of the strategy. The national workshop engaged more than 850 people coming from 300 organizations from civil society, government entities, academia, private sector, and international organizations. This process has given the PVE NAB a wide national sense of ownership, which maintains its continuity despite the great challenges we were and still facing in Lebanon. Empirical research can inform and support community engagement by providing insights into the factors that contribute to radicalization, as well as evidence-based policies and strategies for deradicalization and reintegration interventions. In my book, Pathways to Violent Extremism in Lebanon, I investigated factors, triggers, and tipping points that lead to violent extremism in Lebanon. Based on field research, it explores 5 different hypotheses concerning the correlation between violent extremism and economic factors, injustice, discrimination, corruption, and grievances against governmental and non-governmental actors. Several drivers to violent extremism are emphasized, including political factors such as weak governance, state fragility, and political grievances, in addition to socioeconomic factors such as inequality and exclusion, ideological factors, religious factors, sectarian factors, and childhood dynamics. The research included 156 individuals accused of being involved in violent extremism in Lebanon and interviewed in Lebanese prisons. Based on the research findings, 57 of the interviewees believed that the government only looks after and protects the interests of few, and 74% claimed that the system is not able to accept marginalized communities, and at least 8 declared that they would recruit more people if they went back in time. The book includes a set of policies, recommendations, and programs, among which are strengthening state legitimacy through good governance, delivering basic services, promoting dialogue between citizens and the state, strengthening municipal capacities for citizens' engagement, and facilitating access to public services. To conclude, it is very important to note that by promoting sustainable community ownership within deradicalization and reintegration efforts, we can help to build trust within communities, ensure that programs are responsive to community needs, and increase the likelihood of success in preventing future radicalization and violence. Thank you.